of us here have probably done something when we were younger that they look back and think why they ever did that and how they ever got to do it. Well, then you'd be like me because I did. And the lesson I learned from it is to always think about what you're going to do before you do it. Most of the time it can save you a lot of embarrassment, which in that case it would have if I would have thought about it. What I did was, back in about elementary school, it was winter and we were outside before school started. And me and my friend were standing over here, and he's like, you know how people always say if you stick your tongue to a pole and it gets stuck? Well, that's not true. That won't happen. I told him he was lying. He said, no, go do it. Your tongue won't get stuck. So I did it, and my tongue got stuck to the pole. And some more of my friends were coming over, and they were just standing there staring at me, laughing, because my tongue was stuck to the pole. And so I really believed him. I didn't think it would happen. So when it did happen, I was really surprised and shocked that it actually happened. And so they wouldn't help me at all. They were just too busy standing there laughing because I actually believed him that my tongue wouldn't get stuck, which it did. And so they were over there deciding how they were going to get my tongue off because none of us knew what we were supposed to do. And I was sitting there kind of like pulling my head back a little bit to see if I could pull it off, which it wasn't coming. And then some girls came over, and they saw that I had my tongue stuck to this pole. They laughed for a little bit, and then they kind of just stared at me. They started thinking of ways that I was going to get it off, and none of them knew anything. So they were standing there saying that I was never going to get my tongue off that pole, and that I was going to stay there for the rest of my life. And I believed them. I started freaking out. So then I started pulling harder and harder, and it started to hurt a little bit. And then the bell rang that started to line up to go inside, and I was late a lot, and so I couldn't be late to class again or I'd get in real trouble by the teacher. So I started pulling even harder to try to get my tongue out. And eventually I pulled back as hard as I could, and it finally came off, and I fell back. My tongue was bleeding a little bit, and I looked back on the pole, and some of my tongue was still on the pole. After I saw that, my tongue just started hurting a lot more. And so we were going inside, and me and my friend had the same class, so we were sitting there, and I knew that if the teacher saw it, they'd call my parents and I'd get in even more trouble from my parents. So we were trying to hide it the best we could, but we really couldn't do it that good because I kept going up and feeling my tongue, looking at the blood on my hand. And so when she found out, that wasn't very good for me. She started yelling at me how dangerous it was and everything, but I don't know, I wasn't really listening. It's more worried about my tongue. So, how this matches up with the lesson I learned and everything, if I would have stopped to think about what if he was lying and that was true and my tongue would have got stuck, it would have saved me a whole lot of embarrassment from my friends and a lot of pain from my tongue at the end there. So, yeah. Always think about stuff before you do them, just in case something bad might happen.
All right.